Welcome to Indie Film Forum. I'm your host, Kalpana Biswas. My guest today is award-winning producer and actress Tammy Tsai, who is the founder of a production company, Bad Lady Flicks, as well as the owner of a gym and yoga studio. Tammy graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from Point Park University and performed in professional theater. She transitioned to compete in fitness and bodybuilding competitions and managed the family's physical fitness and chiropractic business before returning to television, stage, and film. She has most recently appeared in Cut You Right Here, Turning Point, and Duplex, which has been nominated for 8 awards at the 2013 Nollywood, that's Nigerian Hollywood, and African Films Critics Awards, also known as the African Oscars. Tammy is now producing and acting in the acclaimed web series Dog Bites, which has received accolades at film festivals in the US and Europe. I'm happy to introduce you to Tammy Tsai today. Tammy, I loved your film Dog Bites, and I know that you started that much later in your career. Can you talk about what it was like coming back into film and television after this big hiatus that you had being a businesswoman?
This was about 5 years ago. I realized that something was missing, and that was my artistic expression. And I just decided to make that jump right back into performing again. And what I found coming back in as a middle-aged woman with not any experience for 20 plus years, that it wasn't so easy, and that the amount of artists that are in this city now, it's extraordinary. And I found it really difficult to sort of break down any doors. So I was fortunate enough to get my headshots done, put a resume together, and find an agent and find a manager. And my manager suggested that what I needed to do was to just make my own work. How in the heck am I going to make my own work? What do you mean? Well, just go out and make a film. So that's what I did. I had several friends that sort of guided me into where I should look for people, who I should contact, and I was able to make some connections and get the ball rolling.
You know, that's really interesting, Tammy, when you talk about the fact that as somebody who comes in as a non-traditional filmmaker, when you come in later, the trajectory that you have is not the same as a young person actually coming into film or television or theater straight out of school. It's a whole different process that you have to follow. And does that mean that you then have to have a community?
You first of all have to have a plan. So the way that I approached making a film was the same way I approached having a party. It seemed like a big party planning event, and I have had a lot of life experience throwing big get-togethers with 300 plus people. Now, making this film didn't involve that many people. However, it did involve a lot of organization and finding other people to help me do some of the work and put it together. I felt I was rather patient with it, but rather green. So I looked at it as if I were just throwing a big shindig. I was fortunate enough to be surrounded with really great people that knew what they were doing. So I learned a tremendous amount making the first episode, and making all of them actually, but especially the first one, since that was my first time at making a film.
So you reached out to Point Park University for your crew. These are film and acting students.
Well, first of all, I was connected by my good friend Adrienne Ware. She was one of my yoga students, and over the years of teaching and practicing together, we never really talked about me being an actress before my business career and my yoga teachings. And then one day we did, and so that got the ball rolling, and she gave me suggestions, and she helped with the connections, and that's how we were able to get the students at Point Park involved for this first one, and they did a tremendous job. So most of the crew for the first piece were students, and a couple of folks like Melissa Martin, who was our director, and Amy Hartman, who wrote the first episode. These are women that have professional careers.
We have so many talented women, particularly in this region,
Yes.
and just to be able to get them together to collaborate, I think is a wonderful thing. We will go ahead and take a look at your first episode.
You watch her there, doggy. She's cracking them real easy. That way, no shell gets in, right, little sister?
That's right.
You learned that from your mother. It's what it is. Goddamn talent. It's what you got, sister. I could wire a goddamn igloo. Sister could make cat shit taste like caviar. Hey. Yeah, just look at dog. It's just sitting there with her eyes open, like she's waiting for me to tell her to sit. Roll over. She'd roll over too. Oh, we all got a talent for something special. It's what the good Lord tells us in the Bible. We all got some magic sugar. And now doggy here, her sugar is to, on her hands and knees. And she don't even cry out or howl or even bark unless I want her to.
You want hot sauce, Randy?
Yes, praise God. We all have a talent.
It's a fucking omelet, Randy.
As long as you're in this house, you don't talk like no whore. And if you're not going to call me daddy, then you sure as hell better call me Randall. Shut up, dog. Are you fixing to spout off some nonsense and make me look like a total jackass? She knows, sister, that when she looks at me like that, it puts me into that red zone. Do not put me into that red zone today. Not on the day of our Lord. Looking at me, glaring at me, like I'm some kind of monster. Am I a monster, sister?
Can we just have a nice breakfast? It's been so long since I've been here.
Dog ain't bad. I love you, doggy. But, hell. Just don't call me Randy, okay? Look out that window. What does it say on my truck, sister? Randall J. Peters, Electrics and Son, established 1909. That's what it says.
Firstly, you ain't got no sons. Second, no one I know in the family is an electrician but you.
It's advertising. That's what it's for. Don't you know nothing?
Anything. Don't you know anything?
Are you correcting me?
You want tomatoes, Randy?
I was. Yes.
Are you making me to be a fool? Dog? I asked you a question.
And I'm asking you one. Do you want tomatoes? Daddy.
Why don't you call me Daddy all the time?
Do you want tomatoes?
I want everything you got. People don't care what fucking name is on the truck. It just gives the customer an air of confidence. You women, you just don't know business. So why don't you just keep cooking your eggs and bending over? Trying to improve myself. Keep my body fit. I'm working on my mind. For instance, I learn a Latin phrase every day. Famous est optimus coquius. You know what that means? I bet neither one of you fancy pants bitches know what that means. And I ain't telling you neither. So there. Oh. Oh. This smells like heaven. Like a little bit of heaven.
My name is Alice.
My name is Jane. Not dog. I am not a dog. I'm not a dog.
He killed my mother. No one could prove it. I just couldn't sit back and do nothing again. We'll bury him in the orchard.
Famus es optimus coquus. It means hunger is the best cook.
There's a religion born almost daily in this new and enlightened age. They each claim to be the universal key to unlock our spiritual cage. It's a metaphysical revival.
Talk about the making of this film. It is the kind of film that leaves people wanting to see more and more and more, and you have 5 episodes done already for the web.
This was not supposed to be a series. I made the film to produce my own work because I was finding that it was, as coming into acting after taking a long hiatus, that the work wasn't there for me. So making my own work was really important. So it was just supposed to be a one-time deal, and I went through SAG. I became a signatory, created my own company. The cast and crew for the first episode was paid, and it's expensive to do films, but I thought it was really. I thought the film turned out great, and I, as a person coming in not ever producing a film, when I looked at it, I thought, boy, we got something really special here. So my idea was, okay, let's enter this into the film festivals. And Melissa Martin said, "You're crazy," but I just thought it would do wonderfully, and it did. We were in 13 festivals total, I believe, and we won a couple of awards. So at that point, I had this idea, like, you know what? This story is so interesting and can be something that people might want to see more of, because it's like one of those shows that you like to watch, but you won't admit that you like to watch. So I brought the gals together and I said, hey, I think we should do a web series. I think it would be really fun. We don't have a budget right now, but I have a little bit of funding that if we need some money for this and that, we can do it if we can all agree that, and see something, a finished product maybe in the future, that maybe we could put our time and efforts into it and make something really wonderful. So everybody agreed, and we put a team together. The team's a little different from the first episode, except for the actors, and we have some new actors. And we kept rolling. Now, we shot each one of these episodes in one day. So it was a total of 5 days of filming for the 5 episodes that we did. And keeping with the dog theme, we have different animals throughout the episodes. We have dogs, we have, well, we found, there was a couple of times we had roadkill for 2 episodes. We didn't harm any animals in it, but we had, you'll see in episode 4, I believe, we open with an animal, and then Melissa wrote into the script of episode 5, she wanted a raccoon. She wanted some roadkill. And so what I did was, I said, well, hey, I live out in the country. I'll look for some. So one day I just happened upon a beautifully, newly raccoon that's belly up on the road. And I called my nephew and said, hey, I need some help getting a creature, but I also need a couple of snapshots taken so I can send them to Melissa to see if she approves. And we scooped up the raccoon, and I wrapped 3 heavy-duty trash bags around it and put it in my deep freeze until we filmed. So no raccoon was harmed for episode 5, but I mean, the things that you do, the things that you sacrifice for your art.
And the things that you do to make it a small budget kind of film, as
Right.
Independent filmmakers have to constantly sort of innovate. So you were talking about a painting that you had as well in a film as the backdrop of the first episode that was used in another film
Right.
by Melissa Martin.
Right, the lamb in episode 1 was used in the Bread Mice Suite, I believe. And also for episode 5, we needed a location to film, and she had this description in the, in the script, what she wanted. So I said, hey, I think my neighbor's house might work. So I went over and knocked on my neighbor's door and said, hey, can I just check out your house? I'm considering possibly using this for a location for one of our films, one of our episodes. And they were like, oh, sure. And so we were fortunate enough to use the neighbor's house for episode 5, which was, saved us some money and time as far as set decoration, because we didn't really need to add anything. It was all just right there.
So what's the one thing that you learned as, the one takeaway that you had as an independent filmmaker, as a producer, on the kind of shoestring budget that you had?
That you really need to be patient and trust your vision, and don't be afraid to jump in, because everything always works out the way it should.
But it also means that you have to network with people. That seems to be really important. That's key, right? Because you met Adrian, your actor. These were actor friends that you had known earlier and you'd kept in touch with, who you could pull into your film. And so that's important. That's key. How did you do that?
Well, I think that as you go through life, you make connections with people, and they may not seem like significant, but at the time, but later on, you realize that I think this person came into my life for a reason, and now is the reason. And you know, everybody. A friend once told me, a yoga teacher of mine said that every person that you meet in life is a bridge for you to reach another destination in your life. And you need to recognize that, and you need to be grateful for it. And I think that's just the way, you know, that life has turned out for me.
So we will now go on to look at the second episode, and it was just a complete treat. And I think what's really interesting is that you have these little 5-minute pieces, and they're just bite-sized, and you look at one, and when I was watching it, you look at one and you just want to see what the next one is about, and it's almost like you cannot stop. You watch one and you cannot stop, and it just keeps going.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure.
It is a guilty pleasure, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the series.
Help. If I stop, you might not get it going again.
Who's the last person came out here? Nobody. Sad like I never even showed up. Okay, good. But what do we? I mean, shouldn't we have left him up at the? Shouldn't we have left it up at the house?
Carcass.
Shouldn't we have left the fucking carcass up at the house until we fucking knew what we were gonna do?
Yes. Fuck. Yes.
Shovels. You got lime? We don't even have lemons. We got apples? We got apple butter. Lime powder. He shit himself. Oh, lime powder. Oh, look. Oh, steak's gonna get fucking awful. Oh. I can make cat shit taste like caviar. You're just a piece of plain old ordinary shit. Nothing good can come of you. You know how long it takes to stir apple butter?
About 16 years. My mother had to do it too. Yellow Jackets would swarm around this huge cauldron he made her use. They were like little agents of his hate.
When do we add the lime?
I don't know.
Maybe we should put some in the tarp with them.
Want to just dump it in the hole before we put him in?
Yeah. Hate the apple trees. Heat can make you hate things like trees and shells, snow, rain.
Extension cords, rulers, light bulbs. It's just big.
What was that?
No, no way, no way, no way, no way.
It can't be. It can't be.
It's nothing. It's nothing. It's just big.
Hey.
Find me with my fucking toothbrush.
Oh my god. That is so freaking cool.
Everybody knows bad dogs howl at the moon. A little boy blue lies under the stars, and an arrow through his heart. Saints, stone sinners, rattle heaven's gate. Cain killed Abel 'cause he just couldn't wait. But that's the way it goes when you take the lowest road. That's the way it goes.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you for watching Indie Film Forum. I'm Kalpana Biswas. See you again next time. For more information about Tammy, Tsai, and Indie Film Forum, please visit our websites coming up.